Hey, this is Jeff, and welcome back to Pacifism and More for the Fallout 3 DLC, starting with Operation Anchorage. The bad news is, last time the game crashed right after we joined back up with Benji, the autosave was a death loop, and my last manual save was in the Outcast outpost, so I basically rage quit. The worst news is that when I restarted, I kept getting crashes, which I worked around by saving every 2 minutes. Then I started having frame rate issues. By the time I got here to the artillery outpost, it was obvious that something was seriously wrong. And fast travel is disabled in this DLC, so bear with me while I run back to the cave outpost. My first thought was, let's see if something I did in the mod made the game unstable. So I disabled it, and that didn't help. I was in the middle of ruling out other possibilities when the root cause suddenly became clear. The drive where raw video gets saved had been failing, and it finally crashed hard. Which wasn't even on my bingo card, because SSDs are generally a lot more reliable than magnetic drives, and it was less than 2 years old, and recording video barely puts any read-write cycles on it at all compared to running a database off it or something. The good news is, I had just archived most of what was on it to make plenty of room for this series, so all I lost was the raw footage from the last episode and everything up to the artillery outpost this week. I tried to recover the data, but it was stone dead. Starting over a third time would leave a bad taste in my mouth, so I'll just tell you what I did up to this point. The equipment you're given when the simulation starts is removed at the end of the introductory section, so there was no point being stingy with the stealth boy. I actually did manage to sneak past the guy on the bridge without using it, and it's a real shame I lost the footage of that, but anyway. Can't really see the building with the health dispenser and sniper rifle from here. Let's go up to the next landing and take a look. That's better. The catwalk underneath the pipe is where we got spotted last week, down there, and I didn't get spotted this time. You can't really see where I did finally get spotted because it's behind the pipe. That's when I used the stealth boy. Luz has sneak 100 and the silent running perk, so with a stealth boy she's pretty much undetectable unless she physically bumps into an enemy. Back around to the top of the pipe. There's another stealth boy at the top of that ramp, which I didn't get last week because we were being shot to ribbons, but I did get it this time. The first one wore off right before I got to the cave outpost, but I didn't use the second one. I want to save it for blowing up the artillery, because Benji can handle anything up to that point, but he'll struggle to hit snipers at long range. I can't go down and show you exactly where I got it, because remember how I said last week that sometimes retreat literally isn't an option in this DLC? This is the room where Benji drops out of the ceiling, and downstairs the simulation puts up these digital barriers behind you when you reach certain checkpoints. I'm not aware of any in-game explanation, but it might imply they were conditioning the trainees to always push forward. The good thing is that they prevent enemies you leave alive from sneaking up behind you. The bad thing is they prevent you from getting back to any loot or secrets you missed. Fortunately, the only thing up to this point that I really wanted was the stealth boy, and I did get it. More importantly, there are 10 intel suitcases scattered through the DLC, and if you collect them all, you get the Covert Ops perk, which gives you +3 lockpick, small guns, and science, plus an extra line of dialogue at the end of the simulation. Small guns won't matter to Luz, but lockpick and science are pretty much her bread and butter, so we definitely want that. There's a booth with a health dispenser and a field storage room on the other side of this pipe. The first intel suitcase was in the field storage compartment, right here, under this desk. There are also 5 or 6 of these holotapes scattered around, mostly letters home and status reports that you can piece together into a pretty depressing story, and they're presumably included in the simulation because they would have motivated trainees to be more aggressive in combat. Collecting them doesn't give you a perk or anything, just lore, but there's one I'll definitely try to remember to play later because it's a bit of a head-scratcher. What happens when we run into enemies is kind of unpredictable because Benji won't aggro unless the player is in combat, and his sneak skill must be pretty decent because he doesn't seem to automatically give us away when we're sneaking. When we do get caught, I'm never quite sure if they spotted him or me. So, perfect world, we sneak around anybody we can, and when there's a choke point where sneaking just isn't going to work, get into a position where I can stand up, draw the aggro, and then take cover and let him deal with it. The second intel suitcase was in this field storage compartment, on top of this console. These compartments have very easy locks, and you're given 50 lockpicks when the simulation starts, so even if you haven't put any points in lockpick, you should still be able to open them all. There are 2 more in the artillery outpost, so you'll get to see what they look like in a minute. It's probably also worth mentioning that until my new SSD gets here, I'm recording on an old machine with flaky USB 3 support and an external hard drive, so I'm not going to panic if I get occasional lag or crashes, but I will be saving every few minutes. We now rejoin our regularly scheduled broadcast. I think going through the loading dock to the right is a bit easier overall, but then we'd have to backtrack for the next intel suitcase. We can get straight to it if we go up to the catwalk. Bumping into guys isn't the best way to stay hidden. There's another guy up here, but we can... No, 2. 3. Out. Time for the take cover and let Benji deal with it strategy. Get them all? I think so. Alright, back up to the catwalk and grab that suitcase. There's also a health dispenser up here. Oh, there's still one up here. Where is he? Right there. Benji, want to come up here and give me a hand? What, is he going around the long way? Well, hit the health canister on the way by. I thought there was a health dispenser there. Apparently not. Benji? Benji! There's one. Where'd he go?
Only good commies.
There he is. Did I walk right by you and not see you? If you follow me up here, there's a guy... Yeah, he's following. Right around this corner. Ow. The intel's in this closet, but I'll wait for him to take care of that before I unlock it. There we go. Yeah, there's a holotape. The intel, that's what they look like. 3 out of 10. And another stealth boy. Sweet. Gonna drop another save. Alright, let's go.
See him down there? That's it, damn Chimera tanks. Don't worry, they're well out of range.
If you suspect that the game designers wouldn't go to the trouble of making a working tank just for one little background scene you could easily miss, your intuition is correct. I see red, but where are they?
Come on, you red bastards!
Benji, my cover. And please don't push me off the edge. He probably got distracted by the one around the corner. I mean, I shouldn't complain about how he prioritizes targets because I'm not helping at all, but... Oh. Okay, there he goes. Oh. Benji. You're kind of leaving me behind enemy lines here. He's like, how did this chick on my special ops team suddenly become utterly useless? Actually, if they all chase him, I can press forward. Classic tactical diversion. Exactly how the simulation wants its trainees to perform. The last intel suitcase in this section is in this closet. There aren't any more until after we blow up the artillery and go back to the field HQ. 4 out of 10. There are also terminals scattered through the DLC. They just have lore, kind of like the holotapes. Drop another save. There he is. What, did you chase him all the way down to the loading dock? Come on, I found a couple more guys upstairs. And here they are.
Get out of my country. I'm on this one.
Oh good, he chased them downstairs and didn't kill them. I guess I should be gratified that I'm inspiring others to embrace pacifism, but maybe now isn't the time? Where is he? There he is. How do I keep passing him? I guess his stealth skill is pretty good. I can could hide down here, but up by the health dispenser is probably safer. More ahead. Still back there? Good. Go draw the aggro.
Come on,
Okay.
red bastards. Fire!
I think some of that fire is coming from behind. Did he still not get all of them back there?
That'll teach him to mess with us.
Holy crap. You see that slow walking towards you. Doesn't care about the bullets. No wonder he can't find them all. They're probably hiding in a corner crapping themselves. There goes the biggest badass ever. That is epic. He's like a freaking Terminator. There goes the other one. Nobody up ahead. We're going to miss some amusing dialogue, but I'm just going to bolt. Benji has a comment in this next room that it looks like they're running low on artillery shells, but then we get closer to the guns and they're stacked to the ceiling, and he's like, yeah, I was wrong. There's an ambush in here, but they're 2 ways up, so we might be able to sneak around. Or not. I don't know if this was a constraint of the DLC design or a plot point about the simulation, or both, but I think it's interesting that there are only a handful of characters in the sim with fleshed out personalities, and in order of the level of detail, they're your only surviving squad mate, your CO, the logistics officer, the quartermaster, and the medical officer. Everybody else just has generic one-liners if you talk to them. With that health top-up, I think we can make it to the exit without Benji. He'll catch up at the loading screen, and the sim puts up a barrier behind us, so we won't have to worry about anybody we left alive attacking from the rear anymore. This room has a very cool background with an endless supply of artillery shells being fed into the guns, but there are also several Chinese commandos in stealth suits, so I really can't afford to stick around and do the tourist thing. And here's the exit. There's Benji. There's the barrier.
That's the front down there. These guns are pounding on our guys. Let's take them out.
We'll do that as soon as I save and catch my breath. Alright, use a stealth boy and blow up the guns. There are 3 guns, and the path they're on is a big loop. If you start clockwise, the first one is pretty easy, but the other 2 are guarded by snipers in elevated positions no matter which direction you approach them from. There are also fortified bunkers with turrets and soldiers, and Benji wouldn't have too much trouble with them, but he'd really struggle with the snipers. Plant an explosive charge.
Let's go.
You have 20 seconds to get away, and the explosion will kill you if you're too close. It'll also kill any Chinese soldiers nearby, and if they're not alerted, pretty much all of them assigned to each gun will be in its blast radius. So we don't have to worry about getting swarmed from behind as long as we stay hidden. Which is why I wanted to save at least one stealth boy for this.
Hell yeah! Take that, you red bastards!
Here's the second one.
Let's blow this beast apart!
And the third one's over there. Soldiers killed by the explosion don't bump up your kill count, but I'll cover that when I talk about the mod details at the end. I don't know if these guys are always patrolling or if they hang around in the bunkers until one of the guns is destroyed and then start, but there's no way they'll see Luz with a stealth boy.
Let's finish the job.
Last one.
Last gun. Blow that thing off the map.
And we might as well go back down to the outpost door. Except that's not the right way, and we don't have time to look for it. Head back down to the last gun. Benji might be too cool to look at an explosion, but Luz isn't.
And they all come tumbling down. Yeah.
And in a second, this part of the simulation will end, and Apparently Benji's sneak skill is as good as mine because that guy does not see him at all.
Damn fine work you did taking out those guns. Damn fine. Unfortunately, while you were up there climbing mountains, we were down here getting our butts kicked. The Chinese decided to use our field HQ for target practice and damn near blew us all to pieces. We lost some good men, including my strike team commander, Colonel Patterson. As of this moment, you're taking over Patterson's strike team. Follow me over to the situation map and I'll bring you up to speed. Okay, pay attention, soldier. I'm only gonna go through this once. We've set up our new field HQ down here. The area is pretty secure now that the artillery guns are gone. The first of the 3 targets we need to handle is their Chimera depot over here. Be careful on your approach. You're gonna have to get through the enemy camp on the way. Once you breach the perimeter of the depot, you need to take out both of the main fuel tanks. Your second target is all the way over here. The Chinese have set up a listening post set into the side of Callaway Ridge. There are some abandoned mines along the route, so keep your eyes and ears open. It's a great place for an ambush. You need to clear the place of personnel, so we can get our intelligence boys in there to start decoding. Once the first 2 targets are down, the last obstacle standing in the way is their damn pulse field. You need to cross it, then cause it to overload, so we can mop up the place with the T-51Bs. Let me warn you now. Unless you have some sort of a death wish, I wouldn't even go near the field until the first 2 targets are down. Lieutenant Morgan will be your eyes and ears for Operation Anchorage, so get everything else you need from him. Uncle Sam's invested a lot of money turning you into a killing machine. Time to pay him back. Dismissed!
Couple things to check out before we talk to Lieutenant Morgan. First of all, save. General Chase smoking a cigar. You see characters smoking cigarettes all the time, but the cigar is a unique animation for him. Someplace around here. Look for the red glow. Now, that's a holotape, but not the one I wanted to listen to. There we go. Psycho. Useless to lose, but easy to miss and could come in handy if you're not doing a no-kill run. Anyway, let's talk to Lieutenant Morgan.
Lieutenant Thomas Morgan, Intelligence and Logistics at your service. I point, you shoot. So, you're in charge of Patterson's suicide squad, huh?
Very funny, Lieutenant.
Hey, all I got to keep me warm out here in this freeze box is my sense of humor. Anyway, I'm here to give you a hand with intelligence and logistics. Whatever you need, I'm your guy.
I hope you know more about this strike team, because I know nothing about it.
Don't worry about it. Sergeant Montgomery will be your squad commander, and he knows all the ins and outs of the team. If you need anything, like reinforcements or status reports, just speak to him. Questions?
I need some new gear. Can you set me up?
Can do. Just use the requisition terminal here in the command tent. Pick whatever loadout you need, and the terminal will dispense a requisition tape. Bring it to the quartermaster officer and you're all set. The government sure loves its paperwork, doesn't it?
I have to go now.
Stock up on ammo at the quartermaster's tent. You're gonna need it.
Now, there are 2 terminals you need to use before the simulation will let you out of the tent. This one lets you pick your strike team members. You get 5 credits to fill 3 slots. Different units have different costs, and the first priority is a sniper, because that's going to be our only reliable counter to enemy snipers at range. Which unfortunately means we can't afford a sentry bot, which is the only really tough unit we could request. We do not want any grenadiers or missile units. They're as dangerous to us as they are to the enemy. I think a second sniper is probably the best bet. Benji can handle anything up close. And fill it out with an infantryman. Yeah, that'll work. You can change it later. Commit team. Deploy team. And now the other terminal. This one lets you pick your own loadout, which might seem irrelevant to Luz, but for 2 things. First, the listening post is a search and destroy mission, so sneaking around the enemies isn't an option. They all need to die to complete the objective. The strike team may or may not be able to handle that. Like we just saw, Benji's capable of killing just about anything he can find and engage, but it's that second part he sometimes struggles with. Since Luz has never put a single point into any weapon skills, a shotgun might be the best bet because her accuracy is going to be complete crap and she'd have to get up in their face with any weapon to hit them. Not even going to bother looking at the sniper package. But guess what's waiting for us at the tank depot? Yeah, as I hinted at earlier, a tank. And since we're not taking a grenadier or a sentry bot, we probably want a missile launcher to take it out ourselves. And an SMG isn't terrible if she has to get up close and personal at the listening post. Yeah, we'll take that one. And now it'll let us out.
Sir.
There's Benji and the strike team, but let's check out the medical tent first. The holotape I want to listen to is in here.
You hurt?
We'll pick that up and then talk to the quartermaster. The doctor's main purpose is to give you more psycho since you can get a full heal from the health dispenser. The speech check gives you a Gauss rifle, which Luz would absolutely suck with, but we can use it as a telescope.
Hell, you earned a lot of respect with the soldiers for what you did to those Chinese artillery guns. Tell you what, take this extra gear with you. Requisitions be damned. If anyone asks, it fell off a truck.
And I'm ready for my heavy weapons gear. Here's my requisition holotape.
Everything appears to be in order. Here you go.
There are some extra missiles and microfusion cells inside. And let's listen to that holotape in here where we won't be interrupted by background conversations.
Physician's log. Dr. Adrian Adami, United States Army, Anchorage, Alaska, forward base. Considering what's at stake, General Chase and I both feel the chem codename Psycho can be of significant use during this operation. I've read the early clinical trials, and there are certainly some possible side effects. Dementia, psychotic aggression, and of course addiction. But the adverse effects do seem limited. Okay, I do realize the chem was developed by Chase's R&D division, but if the thing works, it works. Can we really afford to be picky at this point? And some of these ground pounders have family in Anchorage. I'll give them any boost I damn well can. I just hope my Hippocratic oath is still speaking to me when this whole mess is over with.
We already knew Chase was kind of shady because he gave Braun the simulation code that Braun then modified into the various incarnations of Tranquility Lane off the record. But my real question is, why would the simulation include an admission that he's also been giving unapproved experimental combat chems to his troops? The stories on the other tapes seem designed to make trainees hate the Chinese and be more aggressive in combat, but this one stumps me. And this is a good place to save, but I want to point out one more thing before I get into the modding details. Like I said, people killed in the explosions don't bump up your kill count, and so far I haven't had to kill anybody, so it's still 0. But imagine for a second that I got cornered while Benji was soloing the artillery depot and I had to kill a Chinese soldier to get away. Even though this is a simulation, the kill count would be 1. But if we look at the inventory screen, it says we're wearing winterized combat armor, which in universe we are definitely not. We're actually laying in a VR pod wearing an interface suit. And what we're looking at here is actually a simulated Pip-Boy, which is presumably why we needed a real Pip-Boy to run the simulation and why I talked about how Pip-Boys work last week. Just like the Fallout games don't let you unequip the Pip-Boy because then you wouldn't have a UI to play the game, the in-universe VR equipment won't let you start the simulation without one for the same reason. So what the mod does is, when we exit the simulation and go back to the in-universe real world, the kill count will be reset to what it was before we started it, just like your inventory does. Which is another reason I wanted to do Anchorage first, the difficulty of modding each DLC. It's been, 9 months, and I wanted to ease back into it and build some momentum before I got into the ones that are going to require some serious thinking. Plus, Operation Anchorage was the first DLC for the game, and while I'm probably not going to keep doing them in release order, the environment was such a startling visual change from all the gray and brown in the base game, and still is, so it's a nice break. If you bail out when I start talking about technical stuff, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Before I get into the mod details proper, I wanted to talk a little bit about how the game handles in-universe simulations like Tranquility Lane and Anchorage. There's no simulation mode in the game engine, it's all smoke and mirrors. There's no technical difference between the way it handles a Chinese soldier in Anchorage versus an Enclave soldier in the DC ruins. That's why killing things in the simulation bumps up your kill count, which we haven't seen here because Luz hasn't had to kill anybody yet, but we did see in Tranquility Lane. The point being, as far as the game engine is concerned, characters in the supposed simulation are no different from any other characters in the game. That's also the meta reason the safeties are off in the simulation, although plot-wise, the whole if you die in the simulation, you die in real life trope predates this game by decades, so you probably don't even think about it. Like, yeah, just like the Matrix. Likewise, the Pip-Boy is showing your actual status and inventory. What happens when you activate a VR pod and start Anchorage or Tranquility Lane is basically the same as what happens when you get knocked out by the stun grenade and wake up in Raven Rock. The game temporarily disables the player controls, plays some visual effects, teleports you to a different location, and moves all your equipment from your inventory to a container. Which in the case of Raven Rock, I always thought was kind of weird, since Eden just immediately gives it back to you. But in the case of the simulation is obviously necessary, because plot-wise you can't have your real-life gear with you, and the game just automatically gives it all back when you exit. That's also the meta reason why you need the interface suit for Anchorage or the vault suit for Tranquility Lane. There's no function in the scripting engine to remember what armor the player had equipped when their gear gets removed, and it would break immersion if you were wearing power armor when you climbed into the pod and you were naked when you came out. That's also why all of your hotkeys are reset when you leave the simulation. Now taking bets. Will I remember that immediately when we finish the DLC, or the next time something attacks us and I'm like, why are my stimpaks hotkeyed? Anyway, the way the mod works is exactly the same as how we handled Tranquility Lane. There's a trigger zone around the marker where you start the simulation. The script on the trigger zone saves your current kill counts and then deletes itself. And another trigger zone near the VR pod, with a script that checks if you completed the simulation, and if so, restores your kill counts and deletes itself. It has to check the quest stage because we obviously don't want to reset the kill counts when you walk through it to get in the pod. That's also why I didn't add an accountability feature for people killed by the explosions. The counts are just going to be reset when you exit the sim, so it'd be wasted effort. Now, I considered having it reset the counters in real time, so kills in the simulation would never show up in your Pip-Boy at all. It wasn't a problem in Tranquility Lane because you don't have your Pip-Boy there, but you do in Anchorage. I decided against that for two reasons. First, it was easier, and second, it's also more consistent with the other Pip-Boy behavior, how it shows your status and inventory in the supposed simulation, and everything is set back when you exit. So it feels like treating your kill counts the same way is better. I bring that up because I could still change it. I'm not going to release the mod on the Nexus until I finish the DLC. If you think the way it works now would be confusing to some players, like make them think the mod isn't working, then I could go with the real-time update idea instead. It wouldn't require any rework because I need to save the kill counts when you enter the simulation either way. It would just require some additional code while you're in Anchorage. Let me know in the comments what you think. And that's it. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you haven't already. Leave a comment if you have thoughts on which way the kill count adjustment should work or other suggestions or questions. And I'll see you soon.